Hello everyone and welcome back to a professional match of StarCraft 2. Today it's time for a best of 3 series of Zerg versus Protoss, where in game number 1 we find ourselves on Hardwire. Spawning right here in the top right hand corner of the map and playing with the blue Zerg drones from Germany, we have none other than Lambo. And Lambo proudly representing the Shopify Rebellion right there with a decal on his main hatch. His opponent in the opposite corner, playing with the red Protoss probes from South Korea, we are looking at herO's main base, and herO, as of me making this video, is currently on Dragon Phoenix Gaming, which really is a bit of a banger of a team. I just had a quick look, right, on who is exactly on that team right now, and currently DPG has Dark, Rogue, Cure, Zest, and herO, which really is an incredible lineup. All of those players are, yeah, ridiculously good, with herO being the lowest ranked one right now, but I mean, lowest ranked on that team still means the number 21 on the planet overall. So I haven't really covered herO too much over the last couple of years on the channel. I've featured him a few times ever since he came back from the military, but that's also the reason why I really haven't covered him too much. He's going for a second probe, by the way. Alright, so there's one probe inside of the main base and one probe heading on over towards the top left-hand corner of the map, I suppose. Maybe go for a little bit of a proxy play here. I don't mind the idea. Anyways, so yeah, herO, he did his mandatory military service. He came back right around June of this year or so, and he has been steadily improving to the point where right now he's considered to be the number 21 rather on the planet. He wishes he was the number 1, but he has been definitely making some strides there, and I've heard that he's been playing some very fun Protoss versus Zerg as well, not going for the standard openers that we are very used to. So I think this may very well be a herO special right over here. People used to call him the smiling assassin. No second pylon just yet. Normally the second pylon is built right around right now. So I'm going to make the assumption the second pylon is going to go up right over here in the top left-hand corner. There it is. Alright, so this is right outside of the third base of the Zerg though. So we'll see what he has in store for us in just a little bit. Lambo has also been making some very solid improvements over the years. I feel like not a lot of people talk about him, but he's actually ridiculously good. So as of making this video, according to the Aligalek rankings, he's considered to be the number 18 in the world overall, which really is quite impressive, right? So, spoiler alert, last week, Mr. Lambo, he made it to his very first Premier Tournament Grand Finals, where he ended up losing against herO 4-3. Definitely could have been a Lambo win from what I've heard, but there's no denying that, yeah, Lambo is looking very solid right now. I mean, I can imagine it's hard to make a name for yourself if you're a European Zerg player, just because of the fact that, well, I mean, there's, for example, herO, and there's also Raynor, right? Both of these guys are insane. But Lambo, yeah, he definitely has been making moves over the last couple of years. Anyways, it's going to be a Proxy Twilight Council here from herO. Interesting play. I guess this is not going to be scouted here by the Zerg. So the Overlord is going to go into the main base right now, and it will see the lack of second pylon, which is something. At this point, there's just a couple of Adepts out, so not really a whole lot of damage here being done at all by the Protoss player. He's also not going to have any anti-air to really deny this Overlord. I wonder if going for a Stalker here as a follow-up rather than an Adept would have been a little bit more helpful. Either way, Glaives are already coming up, and he's now also following this up with a Gateway here for those speedy Warpins. Second Gateway over here too, which I'm not 100% sure I agree with. Either way, there's a very small chance Lambo is going to be checking that corner of the base, obviously, or of the main section of the map, I suppose. He could definitely go on over there. Now, this is a wonderful catch right now for Lambo, though. Getting 2 Adepts killed at this stage in the game is actually huge. So what herO is trying to do, he's probably just going to warp in as many Adepts as he can off of 4 gateways and then expand behind it. However, obviously, right, you really don't want to lose any Adepts until that Glaives upgrade is done. So that is a phenomenal start there for Lambo, catching 2 of those units for free. He's scouting the third base right now. He hasn't seen, you know, anything. He hasn't seen a pylon inside of the main base either, other than this one over here, but that's the third pylon of the Protoss. He probably expected to be some sort of proxy, but he doesn't really know exactly where or what. Roach Warren comes up eventually, so that is quite late. Yeah, Glaives are already just about to finish here, which is just a flat attack speed improvement, by the way, for these Adepts, and the Adepts are phenomenal against Zerglings. So it's just going to be Zerglings and Queens for now to defend against these Adepts. Still, though, this is supposed to be 7 or 8 or so Adepts at this point, not this. Oh my god, the Zerglings actually get the full wraparound here right away. Not a fan of this movement here from the Protoss player at all. The Queens are able to, yeah, join in this battle as well. And you really kind of rely on that surprise factor. I think a Zergling was just spotted as well in the top left-hand corner, so Lambo knows what it is he's going up against. At this point, the Protoss player hasn't really killed anything yet. So this build so far has been shut down, even though I do feel like he had a lot of potential. Once again, decides to commit here with the Adepts in the middle of the Natural Expo. I am not a fan of this micro here whatsoever from herO. Losing all of those units for free. Maybe a little bit of jitters here in game number 1. This is from the TSL 8, an important series from that event. So I can imagine that maybe herO was just feeling a little bit out of it, but he's now lost how many? 13 Adepts. Anyways, oh my god. herO going for a double Stargate follow-up right now, which really is not your common follow-up. He's even going into the +1 flyer attack, which I think Lambo has spotted at this point, because he can see the twisting and turning right there instead of the cybernetic score. Zerglings are scouting the 2 likely locations for a 3rd base as well, and at this point Lambo knows that there's still no 3rd base taken here for our Protoss player. He starts up a couple more evolution chambers. He realizes that there's a good chance that the opponent is gonna go for some good old Stargate units. He did see the spinning inside of the Cybercore, so it's gonna be double Stargate Phoenix. So Proxy, Twilight Council, 4 Gateway Adept into mass Phoenixes? So neither Adepts or Phoenixes can really win the game straight up unless you kill like a ton of workers. Like, they're units that both fall off really badly as the game progresses, right? So, say for example, this game goes to like the 20-minute mark and both players are maxed out. Phoenixes and Adepts just get absolutely decimated in the late game. They are harassment units. They're not really units that are meant as part of the core army composition. So right now the Phoenixes will move out. Zergling over here spots it as well, so Lambo knows what is coming. He does have some anti-air, 5 queens and a bunch of spore crawlers here. Hydralisk then starts up at this point, but I think if Lambo can hold this and just max out on Roach Hydra, he's probably gonna be A-okay with, yeah, just attack moving across the map and winning. It does come down to the harassment though. How much damage can herO do? Lambo never really continued droning here either, so a couple of the Phoenixes will be able to lift up all of the queens here. Once again though, beautiful micro here on those Zerglings by Lambo, completely shutting down that Adept aggression. At this point, 0 workers have gone down. Maybe this herO Adept over here can get the first kill. Yeah, that's something, but I think at this point you're probably hoping for about 20 kills. 20 worker kills, that is. Not whatever this is. Alright, so since he walled himself in inside of his Natural Expo, I guess there will be, yeah, a breakout there. He's probably gonna try and expand behind this, but honestly, this is looking really rough right now for the Protoss player. Lambo, in the meantime, has also droned up 3 bases entirely. So this is perfect for him. He's gonna be able to pump out way more army here than his opponent. This move out over here, I'm not exactly sure if I agree with, just because the Phoenixes obviously are gonna be able to lift up everything here, and if it really is, yeah, a bad situation for the Protoss, you can just warp in a couple of Void Rays as well on the other side of the map, right? And that will deal with all the roaches quite well. These Adepts managed to sneak out. They're finally getting some kills in. Yeah, moving out there with the roaches was actually a misplay. Okay, I think the defense from Lambo has been pretty much perfect up to that point. Now he's starting to lose a couple of workers though, and this is actually quite painful. Yeah. Alright, so this is what herO was looking for, right? So this build order that Protoss plays here is meant to create chaos. A couple of free overlords? This is a build order that's meant to create chaos. If you can force your opponent to run around and pick off a couple of workers here and there, shade the Adepts from one base to the next, split up the Adepts, one go to the mineral line, the others go to another mineral line, snipe a couple overlords, lift up a couple queens, right? Then you can create an advantage for yourself that you can build on. And right now, actually, this game is once again playable here for herO, since he did secure a 3rd base. Even though it's very late, and even though I'm not a huge fan of his unit composition. Oh god, if you can get all of these overlords, that's gonna be a heavy supply block right here for Lambo. Oof. Alright, so herO finally created something for himself here. That move out with the roaches definitely wasn't meant to be. Anyways, here he comes again for wave number 14 with the Adepts. That's a lot of Phoenixes, by the way. We're at 16 Phoenixes. So the problem is, right? Phoenixes are really good at this point, but they fall off so hard if there's enough Zerg army out. That being said, I mean, they are getting a ton of value right now. Adepts, okay, they're gonna shade towards the natural. They'll probably hold position there, kill a couple more drones. Hydras can't really engage this very effectively without the roaches, because both the Phoenixes as well as the Adepts are actually quite good against the Hydralisks. Alright, and this is what he was looking for. Okay, there we go. 19 workers going down. Phoenix is right now lifting up all of those Hydralisks as well. It's actually a crazy dynamic between Phoenixes and Hydras. So generally speaking, right, you would imagine that Hydras counter Phoenixes, but if you have enough Phoenixes, they can just lift up the Hydras and kill them all in like a split second. Phoenixes deal bonus damage against light, if I'm not mistaken, and Hydralisks are considered light units. So there's a strange dynamic between Hydras and Phoenixes, whereas if there's overwhelming numbers of Hydras, they will just absolutely trash the Phoenixes, but if you can pick them off one at a time, these Phoenixes can definitely kill them. As a follow-up right now, though, which I also love, herO is gonna go into a robotics bay. Second robo facility also building over at the third base. He's gonna go for what seems to be a follow-up right now with either Colossi or Disruptors, and I think both are a phenomenal choice. It's just that the entire army here from Protoss is gonna be super micro-heavy. There's the infestation pit. Yeah, I think that Lambo right now just wants to go to, I guess, a full-on macro game. But judging by the way that herO is playing this match so far, I don't think he's gonna allow it to get to that point. I mean, he's probably gonna try and max out on some other units. Maybe take a fourth base on the back of this, but I wouldn't be surprised at all if this man goes for some hyper-aggression as a follow-up. So Proxy Twilight into double Stargate Phoenix with +1, and now he's going into double Colossus production. Okay, he's even already got +1. I was gonna just critique him on not having any upgrades yet, but he's already actually going into +2, which is awesome right there for the ground units. These Phoenixes have been worth their weight in gold, though. Ay, 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 ay. I could almost feel the salt right here from Lambo. This must be an extremely rough situation for him to be in, because the first, I want to say, like 7 minutes of the game were basically flawless. Especially considering he didn't scout what he was going up against. And then everything, well, didn't go so hot. So at this point, he's probably hoping his opponent is transitioning towards either carriers or void rays, which is what most Protoss players would do. herO, though, making the assumption that would be a Hydra follow-up, decided to go straight into Colossi. And soon there's going to be 4 of those bad boys out. There's already a couple of sentries here with good amounts of energy, too. I don't think this Zerg army is going to be able to get anything done. Right now, he sees the lasers. Colossi, of course, very good against Hydras. They don't have their extended thermal lens upgrade just yet, so they don't have as much range as you would expect them to have. But now there's 4 Colossi, and I've got a feeling the Colossi alone, and this ground army alone, is enough to deal with the Zergs. Alright, here we go. Yeah, herO really wants to engage this. Trying to shoot as much as he can. I think maybe a couple more Immortals wouldn't hurt either. Okay, maybe the Zerglings can go into the base. Okay, that's something. There are a couple of photon cannons out in the natural and in the third base as well, but I think this is the main engagement. Yeah, Lambo looks at it, and despite the fact that he was very far ahead, it is going to be herO who obtains the victory. So the tone has been set. Game number 2, we find ourselves on Berlingrad. herO definitely playing a very feisty game number 1, and even though that was a very good situation for Lambo initially, eventually he made a mistake, and then herO was all over him. He sort of gobbled him up over the course of the next 10 minutes or so. Anyways, I'm sure that Lambo is quite frustrated after that first game, though, because that's the sort of play that he goes up against all day, every day. So I know that Lambo actually shared a couple of tweets. I don't know exactly what his current record is, but I think at some point he ended up playing like 18 Zerg versus Protosses in a row. Meaning that every single time he queued up a game on the Grandmaster League ladder, he was basically just playing Protoss over and over and over again. And Lambo, in general, is very good in Zerg vs. Protoss. I mean, it showed as well, right? Even though the margin for error is tiny, I do feel like that is a game that he probably thinks he should have won if he just didn't make a stupid mistake. Anyways, so herO, what are we going to do here in game number 2? So far, just a gateway on the low ground, probably just the Nexus as a follow-up. No cheeky second probe out on the map as far as I can see, so at least that's something, right? At the very least, going to make this game a little bit more standard. We can mostly confirm this once the 22 pylon goes down inside of the main base. Normally it's planted right over here, or maybe right over there, right? So you can plant whatever structure you want to build as a follow-up right behind that pylon as well. Make it a little bit harder for the Zerg player to scout. Either way, first off, we're gonna go for the Nexus, then a 20 supply cybernetics core as well. There it is. And then we'll continue probing. As in, like, making probes. This is, by the way, the map with the dogs on it, right? I like Berlingrad for that. Not only is the layout of the map really good, there's dogs walking around. Look at that. This one has white feet. Is it the exact same one? Yeah, look, this one has all white feet as well. Awesome, dude. Zerg once again forced to take their third base first. This has become basically the standard. Protoss players have been sending out their probes really early on into these games towards the other side of the map just to force the Zerg players to not take the natural expo. And at this point, I'm pretty sure Zerg players play their third base first more so than their natural first, so they don't really care about this sort of thing anymore. It's a little bit of practice. It creates a slightly different dynamic, but once you've practiced it enough, it really doesn't seem to matter much. Stargate is a follow-up right here as well from herO. So this is looking a lot more standard. Trying to be a jerk right here inside of the natural expo. A drone and 2 Zerglings are strong enough to push this back. herO is sticking around though. He probably wants to plant down a cybernetics core if he could as well. Which even without pylon power would continue building, which is very annoying. Anyways, the queen is here now too. He was thinking about coming back in for more, but eventually Lambo does take the base. So what are we gonna make? A Void Ray, an Oracle? Okay, it's gonna be an Oracle. Adept over here being a nuisance as well over at the third base, but it's gonna go to the natural. Okay. Yeah, it's got 0 kills. So far, pretty much perfect defense here from Lambo. As we really do expect from those European Zerg players. They generally speaking, when they play this sort of macro-focused style, they generally don't really take any early game damage. Let's see if the Oracle can maybe get support or can get some sort of work done. Void Ray is a follow-up as well. Bit of a supply block right now from Lambo. Yeah. There's a queen right over here in production. Maybe some tournament jitters here as well. Forced to start up a couple additional OVs. Okay. Well, since you delayed that third base for such a long time, herO, now it's not done yet, so you don't have any workers to kill either. Okay. Getting a creep tumor. Pretty good, actually. Getting a drone as well. Alright. A drone and a creep tumor. Definitely not bad, assuming you keep that, you know, Oracle alive as well. Second Stargate here too. So herO is going to go for that stock standard Protoss playstyle that we see all of the time in the current meta. It's probably going to be a quick +1 flyer upgrade then as well. Wouldn't be surprised if Lambo will scout that. So what exactly are his options? Well, obviously Queen Marchers are a thing we still see quite a bit. A lot of these high-level Zerg players also feel more than comfortable just playing the late game against it. But you can definitely still go for a push if you want to. Okay. 1 drone right there, additionally being killed by the Oracle. There's the Forge as well. Roachwarren comes up. Lambo does start the lair. So we'll see. Like, the Queen Marches have transformed a little over the last couple of months. So they used to be very all-in, to the point where you kind of wanted to kill your opponent with it, right? And that's still definitely a variation that we see quite a bit. But, I mean, you can go for a lair as a follow-up here and then just, you know, still go for the Queen March regardless. It just allows you to transition a little bit smoother. Queen's right here with a revelation on them, so they have 15 seconds during which they will be revealed. Yeah, I think he might want to go. Yeah, the other queens are now also coming towards the front. And this is actually spotted right now. So Lambo doesn't want to be delayed any further. Takes a long time. I think it's 15 seconds, but for some reason it always feels like 20. Maybe 30 even. Anyways. Yeah, it's a short little walk from the edge of the creep right here towards the third base of the Protoss player. Shield batteries are coming up. We also have a couple of photon cannons coming up. Zerglings and roaches here. A couple of Ravagers in the mix to bile down whatever they can. Yep, there they come. Is there enough right now for Lambo to break the third base? I love this. Is that the reason why we went for the lair here primarily? Just to make a little bit more maneuverability on the queens. I kind of dig it, actually. Wouldn't mind seeing a creep tumor come down as well. Yep. There it is. So even once you get broken out of this position, or once the Zerg player, you know, can't continue fighting here. Oh, there they go, the corrosive bowels. The creep is still going to be a nuisance. Not a lot of detection here other than the Oracle, although there is a stasis ward there. It immediately did get popped by the Zerg as well. Corrosive bowels not really dealing a lot of damage, but they're forcing those Void Rays to constantly disengage. Which is really good biling right there by the Zerg player, giving the Queens more and more here to continue firing, whereas the Void Rays have to be repositioned all of the time. More Zerglings and Roaches here as a follow-up. So I think eventually the third Nexus here will end up going down. And when it's just two base, two Stargate, I'm really not that big of a fan of the situation for the Protoss player. I mean, he could kill all of the Queens here and then go for a big counterattack. Hydralisk then as a follow-up. So that's one thing we see all of the time in this matchup, of course, where, yes, the Zerg player can kill the third base, but then if they lose all of the Queens in the process, the Void Rays can just go across the map and win. In this case, though, Zerg is not done just yet. Just making more and more Zerglings, making more and more Queens, waiting until that Hydralisk den is done. Lambo trying to buy time here, which is the most important thing for him. He doesn't have a whole lot of eco here of himself, though, so it's only 46 workers. He's killed 17 probes. There's the Fleet Beacon as a follow-up as well. Okay. So now we have Hydras coming up, as well as Queens. So Hydras and Queens are going to be the ways that Lambo is going to try and defend against these Void Rays. Does he have enough right now, though? Because if he loses like one Queen at a time and these Void Rays can start reigning supreme inside of the Natural Expo, this can still spiral out of control very easily. A lot of Zerg units on the other side of the map, trying to use Corrosive Bowels right here to get rid of the Void Rays. Need a little bit of luck for that. Okay, Void Rays are being picked off. Nice target firing here as well by the German Zerg player. He's breaking through the natural defenses here of the Protoss as well. Spots the fusion, or sorry, the Fleet Beacon. The Protoss fusion core. So he knows exactly what it is he's going to be going up against. At the very least, it means more Stargate units, right? So probably don't want to make too many additional Roaches here. First off, though, he makes a round of drones, which I quite like. And herO here is in a world of trouble. He can try and expand behind this. I would love to see this tumor moving forward there as well for the Zerg to deny that base. Apparently, the first order of business here for herO is to go for the speed upgrade for those Void Rays, which is going to make these Voids quite a bit more powerful, but honestly, just Queen Hydra should technically be really good, right? One advantage, though, you do have with the speedy Void Rays is that you could go over here, force all of the Zerg units to go towards the low ground, and then go into the main base and zap down the main. That is definitely a way in which that herO can come back, but this is a rough situation right here for the South Korean Protoss at this point. Look how fast they are, though. If he can kill the main, that would be awesome. Already, though, Lambo has been splitting himself up. So Queens are going into the main base. Hydras instead of the third. Lambo has been playing a lot of Zerg versus Protoss. He's expecting these sort of moves as well. Still no third Nexus, by the way, as a follow-up here for herO. So he's going more and more all in with every passing minute here, and it's... yeah, it's not great. Because I don't think this is working. A lot of these Void Rays are also now in low health. So they will, of course, regenerate their shields, which is that blue bar above their health bar. But you cannot get the... you cannot get the health, like the core health of these units back. Okay, double Robo. herO is going to try and go for another base. Potent Cannon over here at the very least, preventing this from being all creeped up, but... alright, there's the third Nexus. For the second time. Lambo has been sitting on full 3-base saturation for a while. He's considering going for a 4th base as well. That's a lot of Void Rays though, man. Woo! If he decides to split up the unit, yeah, he is doing so. He needs to be extremely cautious. Because if there's a couple of Hydras on the other side of the map, it obviously means they're not going to be used right here in the base defense. But it turns out this time around, the split is pretty much phenomenal. Lambo fighting the Void Rays over here as well, protecting the main base, denying the third of the Protoss player. Queens from the high ground, transfusing the Hydras on the low ground. And there it is. Game number 2 goes in favor of Lambo. All right, so our final game for today is on Blackburn. Let me actually have a quick look at the win-loss ratio on Blackburn for this particular matchup. Okay, yeah, it's felt very even. So at the professional level, we have apparently had 542 games of Zerg versus Protoss, with 50.4% of them going in favor of Zerg. So pretty even map. For Berlingrad, that we were just on, Zerg has a 48% win rate. But obviously, since the map is much newer, only 188 games, a much smaller sample size. Overall, though, I do feel like the map pool right now is actually pretty balanced. At the very least for this matchup. Let's see. So, you can see Zerg players are sending their drone down early as well, just to make sure that they don't get their natural blocked and then have to go to the third base at that point. He's just gonna go straight for the third base, not even expecting to be able to take the natural. Alright, so herO played a cheeky game number 1. In game number 2, he played a lot more straightforward and straight up, and that definitely did not work for him. So what are we gonna do here? I kind of want to see the smiling assassin. That's what they used to call him. I kind of want to see him go for another cheeky build. Something a little dirty, but no second probe out on the map at this point, so I don't really expect that to be the case. He's seen his opponent going hatchery first, so he's going to go 20 supply Nexus. And then 20 supply Cybernetics core as well. So usually this is where Protoss cuts one worker. Usually, if you know that your opponent went for a pool first, you would go for the Cybernetics core first and then the Nexus. But in this case, you don't really have to worry about Zerglings running across the map just yet. You can get an Adept out by the time that the Zerglings, you know, would be able to arrive inside of the natural, so... Save opener right here from herO. We'll see what sort of tech he wants to go for as soon as that Cybercore finishes. But honestly, at this point, I wouldn't be surprised if it's gonna be another Stargate. Second pylon instead of the main base, so I'm expecting the tech structure right over here or so. And so will Lambo. Lambo's just checking here at the front. What do you see? Okay, Chrono right there on the gateway, and the lack of anything being researched inside of the Cybercore. This is something that Lambo has noted already. It indicates to him that it's going to be a Stargate opener. So the thing is, Twilight Councils and the Robo facilities, they cost 100 gas each, whereas the Stargate is 150 gas. Now the Warp Gate upgrade, the one that herO has just now started up, is also 50 gas. So usually if you want to go for Twilight Council, you would go for the Warp Gate upgrade right away. But if you want to go for a Stargate, you don't need the Warp Gate upgrade nearly as quickly, meaning that you can delay it and go for the Stargate first. Anyways, what Lambo has picked up on right now, despite the fact that he hasn't seen the Stargate, is that it's more than likely going to be a Stargate, and it'll probably be running inside of the main base of the Zerg, or of the Protoss player rather, in just a little bit. There you go. We went to StarCraft school for a little bit. Getting extra nerdy. In case you're wondering, yes, this will be on the test. The StarCraft midterms are coming up, so... Hope you've been paying attention. Question number 74. Game number 3 between herO and Lambo. How did Lambo know that there was a Stargate opener despite not having seen a Stargate? Anyways, the Overlord eventually dies. He knows exactly, though, what it is he's going up against. Double gases here as a follow-up, right as the OV died, which I do kind of like. This is not something that Lambo could see. So it's going to be Void Ray into Oracle this time around. Going for the forward third as well. Okay. So herO lost to a Queen March previously. I almost feel like when you build your third base in the direction of the Zerg, you kind of bait them into going for a Queen March, right? Because you're just making the walk distance for those queens much shorter. If the base was taken all the way on the left here, the queens would have to march much further. Alright, so another Oracle, double Stargate Oracle. Is that what we're doing? Nah, I don't think so. It's just 2 Oracles here. Second Stargate is, however, coming up. You want to know more StarCraft trivia? Something that I wasn't aware of for a long time. Oracles only use their pulsar beam when you activate their ability, right? So it's this one right over here that allows them to shoot at other units, and then the energy starts draining, right? Because of that, Oracles are considered spellcasters because they only deal damage when you activate, you know, the spellcasting ability, right? Spellcasters in StarCraft 2 do not benefit from attack upgrades, so Oracles deal flat damage. They also ignore all armor, Meaning that even though you might be able to deal, you know, X amount of damage early game, the Oracle is still going to deal the exact amount of damage later on as well. There you go. There you go. More StarCraft trivia, man. This one will not be on the test, so don't have to take note. It's fine. Okay, so already, yeah, we have roaches coming up. 7 queens here. Lambo is like, okay, well, this worked out perfectly for me in game number 2. I'm going to go do it again. This time around, it's hitting a little bit sooner, though, it feels to me. Okay, shield battery just now finished up, but... Queens, don't go through the slowing zone. You guys are already so slow. Brenda! Oh, God. Yeah, he wants to go out of this circle. The queens forgot their walking sticks and their canes and everything. They need to be helped across the road. Either way, they have marched towards the 3rd base. There is a stasis ward over here for herO, which is not something Lambo is likely to see. There's a little shimmer there for him, but... Oh, God. If he gets everything stasis here, that would be awful. What are we biling? Not exactly sure. Anyways, here's the oracles. We did go for a lot of additional oracles, by the way. It is indeed full bait, actually. So herO has successfully baited his opponent into going for another queen march while massing tons of oracles. Okay, well, he did get a couple of them biled there. The problem is, yeah, sure, you can kill all of the queens, but the oracles are still going to be out of energy soon enough. There's a lot of Zerglings here as a follow-up as well. Isn't this still going to be a kill on the 3rd base? Maybe not. Battery overcharge. Nope, nope, no. Battery overcharge is actually going to shut this down. Clever play once again here by herO. It felt like bait to me when he plays down the 3rd Nexus in that location. And it successfully has worked out here. Oracles they also only fight air to ground. So they cannot hit air to air. Meaning that a Spire follow-up makes a lot of sense here for Lambo. Lambo could obviously go for a ton of, like, Mutalisks here, which, yeah, would just shut down his Oracle play altogether. And Mutas, of course, are already very annoying. That being said, it is still double Stargate, right? So herO could follow up if he sees Mutas with double Stargate Phoenixes. So what do you make here if you're Lambo? It could be a group of Mutas. He could also go straight into Corruptors. But if he goes Corruptors, I think he's going to have to... Yeah, drone up until, like, 4 base eco here very quickly, because it's going to be hard to really pull off anything with just, you know, 60 or so drones. Anyways. herO playing his opponent like a fiddle here in game number 3. He knows that there's likely going to be a Spire as a follow-up. Look at this. So many oracles. 10 oracles at this point. 3rd Stargate is coming up. 7 Mutas are also coming up. The thing is, once you have enough oracles, they really don't care too much about anything. He knows they're on a timer, though, and that they're likely not going to be able to stay alive for that much longer, so he's just killing whatever he can. Yeah, maybe going after the spores is a little bit ambitious. 12 queens have gone down so far in this game. Mutas are spotted, though. Lambo using the hold position micro here to essentially make these Mutas fly like they would if they were Phoenixes, right? Where you basically, you attack and then you hold position. You attack and then you hold position. And you can make them glide since they don't stop right away. They always glide a little bit further. They don't have to accelerate all the way once again. It's pretty clever. You can make the Mutas fly and shoot at the same time with proper control. But look at this. I love it. herO knew that there was going to be a Muta transition, and upon seeing the Spire, he planted down a 3rd Stargate, and now he's pumping out Phoenixes 3 at a time. Now, Mutas absolutely get murdered by Phoenixes. So I guess Zerg eventually is going to have to go into into Corruptors. Lambo at this point has seen the Phoenixes as well. He knows that there's not going to be much of a chance for the Mutas, but he is adding on more. Okay, he needs to kill workers. Yeah, he needs to kill workers here if he wants to justify these Mutas. Because I've got a feeling they will absolutely be killed here as the game progresses. Especially through these slowing zones, man. Oh, the Phoenixes are just having such a good time. Great micro here by herO. Backing off as soon as the Mutas come close. Normally you have queens right now on the back of this to come meet the Mutalisks on the creep, but since so many of the queens died earlier, this is now actually a bit of a problem once again here for the German Zerg. 4th Nexus, building on the left side of the map. Gold base has been mining here for a little bit already for Lambo, which is nice. But he's now forced himself into a Corruptor-based army, and guess what? Wouldn't be surprised. Okay, if herO would transition towards Void Race there, because obviously he's already got the triple Stargate done, and the natural enemy right there of those Corruptors would be the Void Race. Either way, Lambo looked at this, he realized there's no way I can stop these units, let alone the follow-up. You need literally like 80 to maybe 90 drones or so to properly contest this, and obviously if you lose a lot of units, you bleed them out in the earlier stages of the game. It's just not gonna happen. So nicely done right there by herO, playing an awesome game of Protoss versus Zerg.